What amperage should I use for TIG welding? If you are getting into motorcycle maintenance and repair, you might be wondering what amperage to use for TIG welding. This is a key factor in achieving strong and clean welds. TIG welding, which stands for tungsten inert gas welding, uses a non-consumable tungsten electrode and an inert gas shield to join metals. It is particularly useful for motorcycle frames, exhausts, and custom parts. The amperage setting you choose controls the heat and penetration of your weld. The right amperage really depends on the thickness and type of metal you are working with. In motorcycle applications, you will often deal with thin to medium thickness steel, aluminum, or stainless steel. A good starting point for welding steel is to use about 1 amp for every 0.1 inch of thickness. For example, if you are welding steel that is 1/16 of an inch thick, which is about 0.625 inch, you would set your TIG welder to around 62 amps. This rule can be adjusted based on your specific setup and technique. When it comes to aluminum, the amperage guideline changes a bit. You typically want to use 35 to 40 amps for every millimeter of thickness. So, if you are welding aluminum that is 2 millimeters thick, you would need around 70 to 80 amps. Aluminum welding requires alternating current and often benefits from higher frequency settings to break through the oxide layer. In motorcycle repair and customization, you will frequently work with thin materials. For very thin steel or aluminum parts, you may need to set your welder to its lowest available amperage, which can be as low as 5 to 10 amps. Many TIG welders designed for detailed work have a minimum setting of 5 amps, which is great for delicate motorcycle components. Here are some practical tips for motorcycle TIG welding. For steel motorcycle frames and brackets, stick to the 1 amp per 0.1 inch rule. This usually means using between 30 and 100 amps, depending on the thickness of the steel. For aluminum motorcycle parts, remember to use 35 to 40 amps per millimeter. Start at the lower end for thin aluminum and adjust as necessary. When working with stainless steel exhausts, you can follow the same 1 amp per 0.1 inch rule, but be careful with heat input to avoid warping. For thin or delicate parts, always use the lowest possible amperage and practice on scrap metal to get a feel for your settings. Many welders use a foot pedal to control the amperage during the weld. This is especially helpful for thin or complex motorcycle parts, allowing for better control as you work. Before you start welding your actual motorcycle components, always test your settings on scrap metal of the same type and thickness. This practice helps ensure you achieve the right penetration and appearance without burning through or creating weak welds. In summary, the amperage you should use for TIG welding on motorcycles depends on the material and its thickness. Start with the general rules provided, then fine-tune based on your specific application and equipment. Proper amperage selection is essential for successful motorcycle repairs and custom builds.